lost my mom not too long ago, and the circumstances, how she left this world, you know, I wasn't at peace with. I just needed to know that she was okay. All of a sudden, I have my eyes closed y veo como like a tiger, like a scratch, así. Like I don't know how to explain it, but como si tenía los ojos cerrados y luego veo como un zarpazo. Wow. And I can see across whatever's ripped onto the other side. Y empiezo a ver como geometric figures, black and white on the other side. And I was like, oh shit, like something's happening.
Wow.
I noticed like it was starting like to hit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it takes me onto this other place, which I describe as heaven. You know, I was in heaven. It was so beautiful. And I knew I was at heaven because it was, besides being, you know, visually beautiful, I knew I was in God's presence. Like I knew like that feeling of fullness, that feeling of love. I feel like love is not even an accurate word because it was just so much more than that, you know. Cuarto, y en este cuarto estaba todo oscuro. It was so dark and there was demons everywhere. When I'm saying demons, they're like diablos, whatever you want to say, you know, horns, 3 eyes, su cara así como diamond shape, como un triangle, upside down triangle, and they're just big and they're just everywhere and they're just looking at me. And I was like, oh, like, y me dijo, a esto veniste.
Okay, you think we should do it in Spanish or in English? That's the only thing that I was debating.
Spanglish.
Yeah,
I think so because when I talk, yo sé que me va a salir
okay.
así.
Yeah.
Because I don't. That's how I speak.
Yeah, exactly. So, como te sientas mejor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I can't decide. I guess we can start in English y luego ya si me sale en Spanglish.
Yeah, I'm down for both, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, como te sientas mejor. I'm the same way. Nomás que hay gente siempre que critica, like, stick to one freaking language, but...
Yeah, because they're haters and they can't talk languages.
Dude, that's how I feel, man.
Yeah.
So we're recording, just by the way.
I know you do that.
Okay.
Por eso estoy bien sentadita.
Dude, I was going to say that. I feel kind of shy of you going back and seeing a lot of the old episodes because... I have done that in the past, and I look at my old videos. I'm like, fuck, I suck at talking. Like, dude, I look fat. Like we were saying earlier, I think we're our worst critics, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And when you went back to see some of the old content, which I found my initial ayahuasca ceremony testimony, I guess you can say. But I'm like, fuck, no se lo quiero.
No me lo has mandado.
Yeah.
I know, you just keep on...
dude, it's because one, like, it doesn't even look like my current me. I'm like, me da cosa. But okay, so I guess we can start with that. Here, let me do the intro.
Are you ready? Welcome to Hoy Nomas podcast with Angel Houseman.
Arlene, thank you for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. All right. So welcome back to Hoy Nomas podcast. Today we have a very special episode. I think this is one of my favorite episodes that I do here, and it's going to be an ayahuasca episode. And I want to say I feel honored in a sense because I know you watch some documentaries, but you watched a lot of our episodes based on ayahuasca, people's different experiences with ayahuasca ceremonies. And I think that kind of like encouraged you to do it.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I would say I watched all of them.
Oh, shoot.
So
thank you, by the way.
On my drive.
And I'm sorry.
Except for that one.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I watched them all, and that's what pulled me into doing it. I'll be specific on which one. The one where Cello talks about, where she held her baby. And that was what really got me, to actually do it or be interested in doing it.
That one is super deep. I think, and I feel honored in a sense because that one in specific of Cello holding the baby, the blanket, and all that. That was our first TikTok that took off. So it was almost like a gift to us. So many positive comments, and that one in specific is the one that took off for us on TikTok, like over 100,000 views, and it's just so special to us. So, and you bringing that up right now, it's So
that was basically it. I mean, I watched documentaries and a lot, on my own. But I watch all of the Hoy Nomas podcasts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That playlist.
Yeah. So before watching this podcast episode and documentaries, had you heard of ayahuasca before or no?
I did, and it was years ago. So I was a student at Southwestern College, and I was in a math class, and one of the girls there that I met, she talked about it. I don't really remember what she said, but that's when initially, I found out about ayahuasca. So she's, she kind of briefly went over it, and she also used to do peyote. In my view, she was just una chamaquita perdida, doing crazy stuff.
Right.
And I wasn't into that, I was very focused in school, so I let it be. Yeah. That was all I knew about it.
Right. Yeah, because when you first hear of all of that, you think of these people as hippies or están loquitos or something like that, right?
O sea, son loquillos y les gusta meterse cosas y they don't trip.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the what we put on it as a label.
Right. And now that you've done it, do you feel you think of it differently now?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like I was telling my dad, it was the best experience of my life, but also the worst. And I don't think of it, I just see it as a sense of finding yourself and just bringing a lot of questions that we have, finding answers to it. Yeah.
I like that you say that it was the best but worst experience at the same time. And I guess you kind of need both of those in life, right? Similar to yin and yang, the good and the bad. I guess there's a quote that says you need a specific darkness in order for you to see the light, right? So I'm glad you bring that up. And now that you see that aspect of it, I don't want to say would you recommend it to people, because at the end of the day, everybody's I never want to push it to anybody, right? And when you finally, not that you finally decided, but when you told me you were interested in going, I almost felt like a sense of responsibility, because I'm like, oh man, I really hope she has a good experience. Just because you watch the content, you watch different people's ceremony experiences. And I was like, man, I really, really hope she has a good experience. And based on what he previously told me, I was like, oh, thank God. Yeah. Even though some of it was kind of tough, which you can explain. And by the way, you don't have to share whatever you don't want to share. Don't feel pressure to share, but you're more than welcome to share everything if you want. All right. So, do you want to go on with before any arriving there, or your thought process? Take us on through the journey.
I would mention that I've always been very skeptical about all these things.
Yeah.
I'm in the science field y siempre soy muy de I need facts, I need science, I'm not very easily convinced. You can talk all you want and you can say all you want, but I'm a person that needs proof. And I question a lot of things, and no me voy con la primera, you know, I question everything. Like, yeah, I saw your podcast y todo, but I watched documentaries, and I went out there, you know, above and beyond to inform myself more of what I was getting myself into. But yeah, I arrived there, and I told you I was so early there.
What got you comfortable enough to be like, okay, I feel good enough to do it? Was it anything in specific, the documentary or anything?
I wasn't never 100% comfortable. You know, I was always a little bit skeptical, but then my need for it was even bigger. So that's what I was like, fuck it, you know, ¿qué más puedo perder?
Yeah. And what was that need?
I had a lot of questions, basic, like, you know, I've taken my kids to church, and I've been to church, Catholic, Christian, y yo iba, and I couldn't really find a connection. I couldn't really, you know, sentir lo que dice que siente la gente, like that fullness y la presencia de Dios, you know, that, you know, I would try, you know, I would ask God, like, ablanda mi corazón, like, I want to. And I couldn't. And I started questioning myself, like, does God even exist? Like, you know, hay un Dios, like, what the heck? Like, you know, I've had so many life accomplishments, and it hasn't been easy. And you know, I feel pretty accomplished, pero there's always this sense of, you know, like, not being full, not being completely full. Me dicen, oh, pues tienes tu carrera, you know, tienes una buena carrera, tienes un buen trabajo, acabas de comprar tu casa, todavía estás joven, tienes tus hijos, tienes tu esposo, estás viajando, pero nothing would complete me. Nothing would make me feel full. Like, I would feel still like something was missing. And then when I would take my kids to church, me sentía like a hypocrite, you know, like I'm trying to teach them something I'm not even 100% sure exists. Like, what am I doing here? Like I'm guiding them into the nothing, like, you know? So that was some of the reasons why I actually wanted to, you know, do this, as well as the part I told you where I lost my mom not too long ago, and the circumstances, how she left this world, you know, I wasn't at peace with. I just needed to know that she was okay.
Yeah.
Y fue por eso de que cuando miré el podcast de donde sale Chelo, where she holds her baby, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can get a chance of, you know, seeing my mom and knowing if she's okay, and, you know, hugging her one more time. And that was my main reason.
Yeah, like your intention.
My intention. And, you know, that was my intention. Also, you know, había visto de que, you know, you heal your inner child, and there's so many things that, of course, we all have to work on. We're not perfect, and sometimes we bring a lot of our childhood traumas and stuff like that onto our lives. We know we're carrying baggage that we don't even know what's in that baggage, but it's affecting our day-to-day life, our relationship with ourselves, with our kids, with our coworkers, with our family, you know. So yeah, that was mostly my reason, you know, arreglar todo eso.
Cool. So now take us into that day, because you honestly, by the way, this is very important. You booked it. I think we talked about it like maybe a day prior, and then you ended up reaching out to the shaman, and it so happens that the shaman had availability within like a day or two. No, like within 2 days.
Like
right?
2-3 days,
Yeah. So technically, realistically, they say that you want to do a cleansing approximately about like 2 weeks, right? However, Arlene, you already pretty much eat pretty clean within itself, right? And staying away from red meats and doing all that, you eat pretty clean. So I think you were in the safe zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my main concerns. But I could have pushed it till like after May, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was another thing
because he was
too.
going to come back. You know, he wasn't going to be here for May when I wanted to book it. And he's like, I have this Friday available. And I was like, oh, wait, but the diet, like I've seen so many documentaries where you have to prep yourself, you have to cleanse yourself, you have to, do this, do that. And this is only giving me like a 3-day cleansing. And I was really worried about that. But I mean, as soon as he told me, like, I left the coffee. And like you said, like I've been trying to eat a little bit more clean. So, pork wasn't an issue, or red meats.
Right.
Or so. But yeah.
Cool.
Last minute.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's key. But then at the same time, and we'll get into it, I'm glad everything worked out to my point of view. Right. So finally the day comes, which was a Friday. And what's going through your head when you get there? Can you walk us through that?
So, so he told me, like, just, like, do you smoke weed? Do you just, if you do, stop? I was like, no, I don't do this, nada de esto. And he told me, like, don't eat pork, red meats, and I think that's it. And like the weed, that's all he really talked about, or he told me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what about coffee? What about social media? What about, all these other things that are, so, but I, of course, already knew about it.
Yeah.
Tú me habías dicho unas cosas, and I had obviously seen documentaries. And yeah, I was still worried about that. Like, and my worry about that was that I'm not cleansing myself, so it's not going to take effect in me. Like, oh my God. I should have not even cleansed myself porque me pegó muy fuerte.
And you would say within like a couple minutes, like,
yeah, I went in so fast. So, well, I'll get to it, but yeah, let me go back to before, so I started, eating, like I basically do. I lit my coffee, and I started, not putting, I still use social media because I talk, ahí con personas así, like on a daily basis. So, but I wasn't like scrolling through social media and getting all that. So, eso sí hice caso. I also, but yeah, the day before, I was so nervous. Like, I had breakfast and I was so nauseous y luego ya no pude ni comer. Like, I ate a little bit. And it was just like, I guess, being worried about it. And I was still watching documentaries and I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. Pero the day came, I got there. I was there early y pues ya cuando veo que se empieza a acercar gente a la casa, entonces ya voy, me toco y todo. And they were very nice, they were very welcome. They greeted me with a hug, and I was like, oh, like I even said, like, I'm sorry, porque yo no estaba diciendo hola, buenas tardes. Yeah. And like they wanted to hug me, and I was like, that was also weird.
Yeah. How many people were there? I don't think I ever asked you.
I think it was 5 girls. It was 5 girls contándome y 2 guys, so 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And first timers nomás éramos yo y otro muchacho, señor. So we got there and they tell us, like, oh, esto es normal, puedes sentir esto, puede pasarte esto, they just kind of walked us through what's kind of expected. Y cuando ella dijo, la esposa de Shaman dijo, oh, puede que no tengas ni visiones, puede que no pase nada. And I was kind of like, oh, that's going to be me, that's going to be me. Like, I know it's going to be me. I didn't do my fasting right.
Right. I felt the same way, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, eso de seguro me va a pasar a mí. Like, I'm so skeptical. Like, esto, no me va a funcionar a mí.
Yeah.
But, so y luego ella dice, like, okay, pues si han tenido cirugía, si han tenido esto. And I don't know, I had a surgery like 9 years ago maybe. So cuando ella dijo eso, like it slipped through my head. Like ni me acordé, esa no soy yo. Y and I guess that had an effect on how fast I went into it, because my stomach digested it super quick. Like I would say, like within 20 minutes de habérmelo tomado, I was in.
Wow.
Yeah. Y yo pensé que I was going to need an extra shot like you.
Right.
I thought that was going to be me too.
And by the way, that's something new. I didn't know that about surgeries like that. Is it specific in stomach surgeries or surgeries in general? Do you know?
I think stomach.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So,
I would say, like, if you're going in for it, make sure they know your surgeries
that
and any problems that you have, you know, health-wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've always taken 2 shots of ayahuasca. For some reason, I always need it, and it takes me approximately, I would say, about an hour to go in. And you went in like...
Yo a la hora y media ya estaba afuera.
Oh, shoot.
It was like, I went in like deep, hardy con todo. Yeah. So yeah, you know, they tell us like, oh, pues los que no comieron, like, I guess you are not supposed to have like breakfast. Tenías que ir en ayunas or something like that. I don't know. They were kind of talking about that. And I was like so confused. Like, wait, I just had something to eat. Me hice una tostada de como nopal and all that. I was like, yo light, because I know, but I wanted to have something in my stomach. And I mean, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to eat or not, but I ate. And so, you know, she's done with the talk. We go into the room. You know, you leave your shoes, you leave your belongings, put your cell phone on airplane mode, todo. And I go into the room y ya pues me siento en un little pad.
Yeah.
Y yo me llevé mi cobijita y I took my daughter's, like she has like a little squishy-mellow like pillow. So me lo llevé. Like I wanted to have something
like comforting. Like
que me conectara, I don't know, like que me conectara back to home reality.
Right.
In case I did.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, you know, he nos dice, you know, empieza a servir los little shots a cada uno y me lo da. And I look at it, I was like, okay, I knew. Yeah. You know, I knew it wasn't going to be good. Nos dio un chicles y pues le dijo, se pueden tomar el shot y luego le toman al agua y le pueden poner nos dio un chicle, like for the aftertaste. I don't even know what happened to that chicle, to be honest. I probably like threw it up, or I don't know. But yeah. So I know you had told me, and I had seen in other videos, like to have an intention, you know, and I was going with an open heart and I was having an intention, you know. I said like, please, I want to see my mom and I want to know that she's okay, and I want to fix all these issues that I feel like I blocked a lot of my childhood. I don't know what happened, a lot of it. Like, I don't really have a lot of memories from my childhood. And I know it's like a defense mechanism, you know, where you're...
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, so I wanted to heal all that, but, you know, to be a better mom, to be a better wife, to be a better person, period.
Yeah.
So me lo tomé, and yeah, like my heart was racing, like I was so nervous. Yeah, I was just sitting there. Todos se acostaron, and yo me quedé poquito sentada. I would close my eyes. Y time passed, and I was like, this is not gonna work. Y luego, all of a sudden, I have my eyes closed. Y veo como like a tiger, like a scratch, así, I don't know how to explain it, but como si tenía los ojos cerrados y luego veo como un zarpazo. Wow. And I can see across whatever's ripped onto the other side. Y empiezo a ver como geometric figures, black and white, on the other side. And I was like, oh, oh shit, like something's happening.
Wow.
I noticed like it was starting like to hit.
Yeah.
So, and I remember saying like, Isabela, ¿dónde estás? Isabella's my daughter's name. And I put my hand on the pillow y me empiezo a acostar poco a poco. And from there on, I just let go, and I started seeing a lot of geometric figures, muchos colores, muchos, at first nomás eran puras figuras así, like everywhere I would look, eran muchas figuras, and I was like, oh, this is it. And all of a sudden it takes me onto this other place, which I describe as heaven. I was in heaven. It was so beautiful, and I knew I was at heaven because it was, besides being, visually beautiful, I knew I was in God's presence. Like I knew like that feeling of fullness, that feeling of love. I feel like love is not even an accurate word because it was just so much more than that, it was so beautiful. And y empiezo, a admirar este lugar. And I remember it looks like I think it's called a kaleidoscope. Así se miraba, todo, muchas figuras, pero muy bonito. And, there was some clouds, there was a sky, there was green. Everything was beautiful. Like I didn't see any animals or any people per se, but I knew I was in God's presence.
Wow.
And that was like, I've never felt that, I've never felt, that sense of peace, that fullness, that I was like, and I remember, I say it was God. I remember telling God, like I've been here before, like this has happened before. And he tells me like, yeah, this is home. Like, I know. And I would tell him like, I know this is home. Like I've been here before. Like, it's not new. It's not like llegaste a un lugar nuevo. Like, I'm just coming home. And feeling that was like, oh, no wonder I can't, I connected like, con razón no me siento llena allá abajo because I'm not at home, that isn't fullness. Y como que yo le quería hacer preguntas. No recuerdo qué preguntas, I just had so many. And y él me decía, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, lo único que importa es esto. Lo único que, like, look at all this. This is the only thing that matters. All this love, all this fullness. Esto es lo único que importa. Don't worry about that. Eso de, eso lo de acá abajo, lo de earth, that's nothing. Eso no es nada. None of that matters. Your career doesn't matter. Your car doesn't matter. Your knowledge doesn't matter. Your nada. The only thing that matters is todo esto. And that was just like, it was like, oh my God, it's like everything clicked. Yeah. Y había, yo me acuerdo que como que hacía preguntas como, I don't know por qué miré pirámides. Miré como unas pirámides allá a lo lejos. And me decía, like, como que me daba la respuesta de que, of course, it's not man-made, like, y yo le decía, like, I know, like, of course, like,
Yeah.
Like
I knew it.
Like, I knew it. I kept on saying that when I was in this space, in this heaven, como que me contestaba muchas preguntas que pasaban por mi mente. Y yo le decía, yeah, like, I know, like, of course, like, duh, like, it makes sense. Pero pues ya no me enfoqué mucho con la pirámide. Y recuerdo que la pirámide, like, estaban, like, a little bit tilted. Y en el pico de la pirámide salía como un ray de neon light hacia arriba, como que iba hacia arriba. But it's so distant.
Yeah.
But at that moment, that's when I remembered the reason that I was here. So I remembered that, I came to see my mom. Where's my mom? And I asked, like, ¿dónde está mi mamá? And he said, mira, look all around. Like, she's okay. Like, she's at peace. Like, don't worry about it. Like, o sea, mira dónde está. And I was like, oh. you know, así como que, I was like, okay, thank you. Like, I needed that peace. I needed to know that she was okay, that, you know, that even though she had passed away en la forma que había fallecido, like, she was okay. Yeah. So after that, I asked about Isabella. I asked, like, I want to know if Isabella is okay.
Isabella being your daughter.
My daughter, yeah. And this because, of course, I work nights. And, yeah, I only work 3 nights. Pero cuando regreso a casa, like, I'm there, but I'm not fully there because I'm sleepy. I'm, you know, malhumorada tal vez because I sleep a little bit. So, you know, siento que a veces tengo ese remordimiento como mamá de que, like, I know I'm doing, you know, the best I can, but it's not enough. You know, it's not enough, especially ella es la más chiquita y mi miedo siempre es de que le haga falta a su mamá, you know, even though I'm there, you know, pero, like, not really present.
Right.
So I wanted to know, like, and I asked him, like, ¿dónde está? Like, ¿cómo está Isabela? Like, how is she doing? Like, you know, I wanted to know how her heart is. Y me dice, like, me empieza a enseñar muchos, my daughter likes the capybaras. I don't know if you've seen those animals. Ahorita andan saliendo mucho.
I'm not sure.
No?
Yeah.
Son unos monitos, or no unos monitos, son unos animales, pero pues venden monitos de eso. And she loves those. And I started seeing a lot of those, así como por medio de un kaleidoscope. Miré muchos así y con happy faces y rainbows and just like pretty stuff. So su contestación era de que, like, she's okay, like her heart's okay. Yeah. Y and all of a sudden I start asking about my son Angel, my son Oscar. I ask about my husband, like Jonathan, like I wanted to know if they were okay as well. Y me dice, eso ahorita no importa. Y luego, my God, this is where it starts getting ugly because me jala a un...
Quick reminder, we now have a call-in number where you guys can leave us voice messages, video calls. Let us know a story you would want us to share on the podcast, anything you want. The goal is being able to interact with the people that support the channel. Even if you're looking for love, we will find your true love on Hoy Nomas podcast. Also, for anyone that is interested on creating your own channel, we have our Amazon storefront linked in the description where you can find all the cameras we use, the microphones, the lights, the equipment where all of our podcasts are recorded to. If you need any help with editing services, we are able to produce your entire podcast, edit your short form content from Instagram Reels, TikToks, etc. You can look at all of our content as reference and we got you covered. And finally, if you want to support the channel, you can leave us a super thanks down below, which will help us tremendously, and we'll make sure to highlight that comment on the upcoming podcast and give you a shout out. Now back to the podcast.
Cuarto, y en este cuarto estaba todo oscuro. It was so dark and there was demons everywhere. When I'm saying demons, they're like diablos, whatever you want to say, you know, horns, 3 eyes, su cara así como diamond shape, como un triangle, upside down triangle. And they're just big and they're just everywhere and they're just looking at me. Wow. And I was like, oh, like, y me dijo, a esto veniste. Oh, shit. And I was like, no, I don't want to be here. Like, what, like, you know, I started getting scared, you know, and by this time I was purging already. You know, I started purging and it was just so much. Y de hecho, en un momento de esos viene shaman. And he lights like a red light y me dice, like, to get me out of the zone, me dice, ¿tienes alguna cirugía en tu estómago o algo que te hayas hecho en tu estómago? And I'm trying to answer him, but, like, I'm still so, you know, in it, que, you know, it takes me a while to kind of understand what he's asking me. Y le digo, oh, sí, le digo, tengo una cirugía, le digo, hace años. Le hace, oh, okay. Le hace, nomás no trates de forzarlo out. And I wasn't trying to force anything out. I just felt the need to just, you know, purge. And so I go back. And I remember like asking like, oh, ¿por qué? I asked like, ¿por qué? Why am I like this? Like me asking like, why am I like this as a person? You know, why do I have like sometimes so many like bad thoughts, negativity, y, you know, cosas that we carry on. Y me enseñaba, you know, all these demons. And I knew that they weren't all mine. Like I knew que eran de mi mamá también, eran de mi hermana. And I was fighting them and I was carrying on with them. And por eso yo, you know, tenía esas cosas negativas en la vida. So I was purging, and I remember holding on to the bucket, holding on so tight. Y me decían, like, you gotta let go. But I was holding on like so tight to the bucket.
Who was saying that? Like, you gotta let go. Okay.
Whoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They would tell me like, you gotta let go. But I was holding on like so tight because I felt like this bucket was my reality. And I would like press on to the bucket so tight para que me doliera el dedo de tan fuerte que lo estaba apachurrando para que me trajera un poco a la realidad, you know, because I couldn't feel myself, you know, I could just feel that I was purging. Y tenía el miedo de hacer un cochinero. Like in my conscious, tenía un miedo de vomitar y que hiciera un cochinero. And when I would have those thoughts, me decían like, shaman knows, like, he knows that you're purging. He knows that it's okay. Like, just let go. Y yo decía, I know. Para todo yo decía, I know. But, I mean, and it made sense lo que me decían. I remember holding onto the bucket so much y como que se me doblaban las manos and I lost the bucket and I didn't have the bucket and it was like snot was coming out y todo. Like, it was, yeah. Y yo quería papel y no podía ni pedir papel. Yeah. Y ahí es cuando me dijeron, las llaves no puedes ni pedir ayuda. Like, and that is me because I just, you know, I take everything in life and I never ask for help, you know? Desde que mis niños están chiquitos, like, siempre he sido yo mamá lucha 4x4 and I just say like, fuck it, pues, ¿querías hijos? Órale. Y soy muy orgullosa, no pido ayuda, and I just feel like todo es mío, todo es mi carga, you know. That's why I was holding on to that bucket so tight.
Wow.
'Cause it's mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It's horrible.
That's
that
deep.
part was horrible.
Yeah.
After that, y sí me decían, like, a veces no puedes ni pedir ayuda. Y yo, and I would get this bucket and I was purging y pensaba en mi mamá para que me regresara a ese lugar bonito. Y nomás me dejaba mirar ese lugar bonito. Porque yo le decía, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here with these demons. Like, it was so scary. Like, I've never been so scared in my life, you know? Seeing, o sea, todas esas cosas feas. Like, I've always watched scary movies y nunca me había asustado así.
Wow. ¿Y qué hacían los demons? They were just
looking at me. They weren't trying to do nothing. They were just like, como si estuvieran parados así en la pared, acá. But there were so many, and they were just looking at me purge. Y but they weren't doing nothing. But it was still very scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Y recuerdo que le dije, no, es que yo no quiero verlos. Like, I would go into my bucket y voltear a mi bucket so I wouldn't look at them. Pero esta imagen era esa. Like, there was no way out. Y me decían, no, a esto veniste. So, like, como que me dan un break y me dejan ir a este little heaven, but I can only look at it. I'm not in it. I'm just looking at it. Y me dice, todo es con amor. Like, even though you're going through hell, it's with a lot of love. So I felt like, como cuando you're teaching your son a hard lesson in life, and it's hard and probably, you know, duele, pero you're doing it out of love, you know, because you want them to be a good person, you know. It's like tough love.
Yeah.
Así lo sentía. Y me decían, like, even though you're going through hell, it's with a lot of love. So that's why they would let me peek into this heaven para que no se me olvidara que todo era con amor. So they sent me back. They sent me back, and I was just purging and holding on to this bucket as much as I can. I would think about my mom and my sister, y como que yo estaba peleando estos demonios de ellas, que también eran míos, like they were no de nosotras. And I would tell them, like, I got you, mom, like, I got you, sister, like, I'll do this for you, like I'm so scared, and, you know, pero, like, yo sentía que estaba ayudándoles a pelear eso que con lo que se fue mi mamá y you know, que afectó mi niñez y just everything. I don't know, I feel I'm still trying to, you know, put everything together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was basically it.
There was a point that, okay, the shaman told you to take something when I think when he realized that he had the surgery, right? Did that help in any way? No. Okay.
So he just gave me he pointed out that red light again to me, and he's all like, here, take this. It's Benadryl. Take it. And it's just Benadryl. It's just for like allergic reactions. Me dijo, tu cuerpo lo está tomando como si fuera un like if it's poison, like take it and, you know. But I don't think it did anything. I don't think it was, you know, poison or my system was taking it bad. It was just that I guess he was worried that I went in so quick.
Yeah.
And I was in there y todos apenas como que apenas ahí andaban. O sea, y yo ya andaba long gone.
And the final, what was the final vision then? Just the demons itself?
Yeah. So after that, I remember regresa otra vez con su red light. Y believe me, when I was going through this, I was like, ¿dónde está shaman que venga con su red light? You know, get me out of here.
Yeah.
And regresa y la sé, ¿crees que puedas ir al baño? And I tell him like, well, I don't know. Y me ayuda a pararme because I didn't even know how to stand up. So me ayuda, me para. I start going towards my side y like he catches me y agarra el bucket y ya cuando me da el bucket I was like, oh yeah, like reality, you know. Y and he walks me out y he guides me into the house y ya me recibe su esposa. Y so I go into the bathroom and I just still kept on purging in the bathroom, like, you know. Pero ya nomás era como el sonido. Me dijo, like, I guess she saw my bucket and me dijo, oh, ya sacaste la medicina. So you've been through the worst. Porque ella me acompañó al baño. So she was in there with me. And we were in there for like an hour or something. Just like talking. And she told me, because I told her, oh, pues, like, le dije mi experiencia, like, there were so many demons. And I was telling my mom and my sister, like, I got this. Y me dijo, pues, ¿qué estás haciendo aquí? Like, go back and finish what you said. Like, no, I'm, like, so scared. Like, I don't want to go back. And, y ya seguía yo, like, trying to purge, or, you know, I just had the sensation in my throat. Y le decía, y ella me dijo, es que todo lo traes aquí. Si te fijas, no estás tratando de vomitar de tu estómago. Everything's here, which means it's like your throat chakra. Yeah. Which means that you just keep everything to yourself. Y le dije, yes, that's me, of course. I always speak my mind, but I never speak my heart. Like, you know, I'm very vocal de cuando algo no me gusta, pero si es algo que me lastima o algo que it's in my heart, I don't say it. And that was one of the lessons. Like, I need to be more vocal about how I feel, not only what I think. So she talked me through it, and I did end up going back, but ya se me había pasado el efecto y ya no, they closed the doors on me. I couldn't go back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck?
So ya no pude ver nada, not shaman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Ya no pude ver nada.
Okay, so you just didn't go back into the realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't see visions or nothing.
But you went back to the space?
Yeah, I went back to the space, and because she told me, like, just lay there, and porque todavía falta mucho. Ellos apenas van.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, because I was in and out, like,
wow.
so quick.
So what do you think, based on that conversation, what is it that you think that you hold within and that you don't speak your heart? That you speak your mind, but you don't speak your heart. What do you think that is?
Just emotions, I guess. No sé, un ejemplo podría ser, si me peleo con mi esposo, like, le puedo decir exactamente qué me molesta, pero no por qué me molesta. No por la forma en que me está haciendo sentir, o no por, I don't go in deeper. I just react, and I talk. And, tengo mucho logic para hablar, pero a la hora de los sentimientos y eso, like, you don't hear me talking to no one about that.
Yeah, maybe saying, like, the basic, like, hey, no me muevas esto, or something like that, right? But no me muevas esto because me afecta en esta manera, or something, right? Like, the details behind it.
The details, the inner meaning de cualquier cosita, cualquier discusión o cualquier cosa, tal vez I react mad, or I react y le digo, hey, no hagas esto, whatever. But I don't tell them why. I don't tell them what it's making me feel. Y eso me dijo. Aparte me dijo que, like, estás rodeada de tanta enfermedad. You working at the hospital, you're surrounded by all these illnesses and so much cancer, and you're taking that home, like, all these emotions, like, you're taking that home and you're not letting it out. And I told her, like, I feel like I don't take it home because, like, I go home and I totally forget I was at work. Like, I'm never thinking about my patients, so I think that I'm never thinking about them at home, worried about them o cosas así. O sea, obviamente ciertos casos, I'm like, oh, I'm just hoping they're okay, and they get better. But I usually feel like I leave work at home, but me dijo, no, I say, you're taking all that energy, todo, you're taking it home and you're not talking it and you're not getting it out, and that's just building up on you. And so that was another thing, like, she told me, like, I need to talk about it and just, like, let it go, not take it home.
Yeah, because I can imagine there's a lot of bottled up emotions inside, right? Because if you've seen a lot of people with sicknesses, and I'm sure a lot of those patients, eventually you probably see some of them actually passing away, right?
Yeah, I haven't, I've encountered death, but not as much. Pero it's not, sometimes it's not only, the physical aspect, la enfermedad. Sometimes it's their background. Like, I'll talk to my patients. Like, I'll get to know them, some of them, if time permits. I usually like to know who they are. Like, I love working with the elderly because they have so much knowledge. Like, they've lived life, and you can learn so much from them. Y that's what I like about my job. I get to not only, be with these patients that are vulnerable, when they're most vulnerable because they're sick and they're just, and I get to know them. Y a veces todo eso, de que me diga una señora, oh, es que tengo 6 hijos y ninguno me visita.
Wow.
And just that, just that emotion, pues sí, all that aspect of it, por un ejemplo. So she told me I had to, talk it out and let it go y todo eso. And I told her, like, while I was purging in the bathroom, I told her, like, I don't know why I keep thinking of my patients right now. Like, I wasn't thinking about them when I was in the realm. Pero cuando ya estaba en el baño, which I was kind of, like, if I would close my eyes, I would go back.
Right.
I was still in there, at the beginning. And And I told her, like, I don't know why I keep thinking about my patients. Like, she's like, because you care about them, you get involved with them, and that's why you're carrying all these, all these energies. And she said, and like, why do you think you're thinking about them? And I told her, well, because like there's so much cancer out there. Like there's so much cancer I've been seeing, like, and people are so sick, and I kind of knew at that moment de que toda esa enfermedad, it's because we're not solving all these issues. We're keeping everything inside, and of course our body's going to take a toll on it. De alguna forma se va a manifestar en esta vida todo eso que guardamos y es por la enfermedad. And she told me, you know what cancer is? And she told me, personas that they keep everything inside. They keep everything and it bottles up, and it, negativity, everything, they keep it inside y eventually they get cancer. And I told her, like, I'm scared that I'm going to get that. Like, yo nunca en mi vida había tenido miedo de que me va a dar cancer ni nada, pero in that moment, I felt it like in my throat. Like I felt that I needed to get it out, because si no, eso me va a pasar a mí. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm going to get cancer in my throat si yo no empiezo a trabajar con todo eso y a sacarlo and just release all that, Yeah. And she's like, yeah, so get it out.
Yeah. It almost feels like having a knot in your throat, right? That you just feel it there.
Yeah, but it wasn't like... Yo he tenido, like, ese knot como cuando a veces como que quieres llorar y lo sientes aquí. But it felt way bigger than that. Like, yo sentía una bola that I couldn't breathe. And I remember, like, when I was still in there and I was purging, yo me decía, like, just breathe, Arlene, just breathe. And that was a lot of what I kept reminding myself, like, just breathe. Porque a veces como que hasta el aire se me iba y no podía ni pedir agua ni nada. So
yeah,
it was a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this is TMI, and hopefully it's not, right? But when it just so happens that the time that you went, it was a time of the month for you, right? And the shaman's wife mentioned that also intensifies the experience.
And I had also looked at, I saw one of your podcasts donde I guess Isabel, she goes in with her period, or someone was in her period when she did it.
Yeah.
And it intensified. And
y eran puras mujeres, parece.
Eran puras mujeres, yeah. So she told me that, because that was one of the reasons why I called her into the bathroom, so she can bring me my bag from the living room. Mm-hmm. And I told her, like, oh, because I'm on my period and I need my stuff and todo. She's like, oh, la sé. Like, she like, ay, mija, como. Yeah. That just made it worse for you. And she told me, like, it's not that you're having it worse than them. It's that you went in and out, like, así pues, de madrazo.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't mean that they're not having that experience. Porque yo le decía, like, why? Like, why? ¿Por qué no me deja salir moco? Like, me sonaba y me sonaba. Wow. And it was just so much. Like, traigo hasta rojito aquí.
Yeah.
De lo tanto que me estuve desbaratando la nariz ahí.
That's insane.
And she's like, it's not that you're having it worse than them. It's just that you went in so quick and so fast, and
Yeah.
Ya de aquí, ya nomás is downhill.
Yeah. Like you already went through
the worst.
Right.
Yeah. But when I feel like I know everything happens for a reason. I've always been a true believer of that. Everything happens for a reason. And sometimes we don't understand why things happen a certain way. But, las cosas así deben de pasar. Y cuando Shaman me dijo, ¿quieres ir al baño? And I think that was because hasta ahí pude haber llegado yo. Because believe me, I was so scared. I've never been so scared in my life. Y dicen que Madre Ayahuasca is not going to give you more than you can handle. But I think that was my...
Like your limit.
My limit. I couldn't anymore. Y yo creo que por eso, Shaman me sacó y ahí terminó eso para mí.
Yeah.
But I told Alma, I told her that I feel like me quedé a medias. Como que I'm not done. I know there's more. And I have lessons that I need to work on in the meanwhile. And I have, como ya tengo tareas.
Yeah.
But I know I have to go back. Like, I feel like I have to go back and finish that. Just so I can move on.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm glad you bring that up because it's not, and there's a lot of misconceptions about people that have done ayahuasca or are even considering it, right? They feel like, no, because I don't want to become addicted to it or anything like that. But it's nothing like that, right? Because it's not something that you seek, right?
It's not something you want to go back to.
Yeah, because it's so tough. And it's like you said earlier, it's tough love. Yeah. And they've said it many times, but going through this type of ceremony, they compare it to 100
it's one ceremony. I know what you're trying to say.
Right.
One ceremony equals 10 years worth of therapy, like psychotherapy.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, like, and I see it now. You know, I see it because it takes a lot, you know, when you go to therapy, it takes a lot, you know, first that you're comfortable with your therapist, and then it takes a little bit to start opening, you know, up. Y luego empiezan por arribita, and it's a once a week thing.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot for you to really dig in there. Y what's really interesting is, como yo, like, how am I going to dig into a childhood I don't even remember? You know, if that's blocked, how are we going to dig in there?
Yeah.
Y con ayahuasca, like, you go straight to the root.
Yeah.
Like,
and did you see anything about your childhood?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. And that was what I was, just when I would ask, like, why am I like this? I would just get all these demons. But I couldn't see anything clear, like, me, myself as a kid. I couldn't. So that's why I tell you, like, I need to go back because I know I'm not done there. Right.
That was like because the main thing was about your mom and healing that side of of your mom, your sister. And would you say that the biggest message you received was getting reassurance that your mom was good, that she was fine?
Yes. That was one of the messages, but I feel like the biggest message I got out of it is knowing that nothing matters. Nada de este mundo importa. You know, there's so much love and so much fullness and so much, you know, this heaven, if you want to call it, que it's not from this life. And all these little things that sometimes we worry about, it's like, no es nada.
Right.
You know, there's just so much out there. And time, there is no time up there. There is no allá arriba. No es como que my daughter's my daughter, my son is my son. It's just a mix of everything blending, and así miraba yo todo, pues que todo se hacía así como like folded within itself, you know. So there was no time, there was no linear, there was no, you know, nada es como aquí.
Yeah, because everything is happening all at once.
Yes.
It's oneness, right? It's a whole.
Yeah. It's hard to understand, I guess, with the mind from here.
Yeah.
So, a alguien que no ha vivido eso, it's just gibberish, you know. They can't grasp that. You have to live it in order to say, like, como yo decía, like, okay, like, I get it now. Like, no wonder, like, of course, like, everything makes sense now.
Yeah. And would you say that you were that type of person that you really cared about the superficial things in life?
Yes and no. Sí me importan las cosas materiales porque vivimos en un mundo físico, materialista, you know. Siempre me ha importado mucho la educación. Me ha importado, of course, you know, providing for my family and all that. But the answers I got all there, like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what education you have. It doesn't matter what house you have. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter nada.
Yeah.
Like your physical appearance.
Yeah.
You know, yo en otro tiempo, before ayahuasca, I would have not come to the podcast, y menos con mi work uniform.
Yeah.
You know, y sin makeup. Like, I would not.
Yeah.
Just because I'm so self-conscious de cómo me miro, de cómo, you know. But now I was like, and I even told you, like, but that doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't care anymore about those little things because there's just so much more out there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. After what happened after ayahuasca, do you mind sharing a little bit of that? I think you received a very important message.
Yes, I did.
If you don't mind sharing that.
No,
if not, okay.
So the next day after ayahuasca, I woke up in the morning and my daughter had a dance performance. So we went there. When we came back, I was going to work that evening. So I was going to take a nap. So yo estaba, you know, doing my business y me miro en el espejo and I've mentioned this to my dad right now that lately I've been, every time I see myself como en el espejo en ciertas fotos, like I see my mom. And not that I see her, I just see that I look like her. Y eso no me pasaba antes. Like yo decía cuando me dicen, ay, te pareces mucho a tu mamá. Like, me decía, pero ¿de dónde? Like, yo soy toda la cara de mi papá. And now I like more, I see myself, you know, more. So I looked myself in the mirror and I saw, you know, that glimpse of my mom. And I just started like talking to myself in the mirror, but I wasn't talking to me. I was talking to my mom. And I just started telling her like, Mom, like, yo te perdono, you know, I know you had a tough, you know, bringing up. Y te perdono por, you know, hiciste lo mejor que pudiste con lo que pudiste, you know, con lo que la vida te dio, you know. You did your best, and I just forgive you for everything and anything, and it doesn't matter what happened in my childhood. It doesn't matter, you know, ¿qué importa eso? Like, all I know is that I want you to be at peace. Y for her, it was important for me to darle mi perdón para que levantar uno de esos demonios, por así decirlo, you know? And, like, por mí no va a estar en ese lugar.
Yeah.
You know, fighting that. So I just, you know, I talked to my mom and I told her like, it's okay and I love you and, you know, it's okay. I go downstairs. Well, I take a nap. Me despierto. Go downstairs. I'm prepping my lunch, todo. Mi husband sale por la puerta de atrás al backyard. Y me dice, hola, hay un pajarito muerto. My mom loved birds. En cuanto él dice eso, like, my mom comes to mind. And I'm like, oh, mi mom le gustan los pajaritos. Y me enseña el pajarito. And, you know, it looked, se miraba sano. You know, it wasn't a baby that fell off from a nest or something. Era un pajarito, tenía sus alitas amarillitas y todo. And I was kind of rushing for work. Y luego, oh, pues qué mala onda. Le digo, pues échalo a la basura, you know, like, para que no lo va a agarrar mi perro. And I didn't really want to think much of it. I'll go back inside. You know, still getting ready for work. Y mi esposo, he gets out his phone. Le dice, a ver, ¿qué significa esto? And he's not like that. You know, él no es supersticioso or however you say that, you know. Él no cree en muchas cosas. And it was weird for him to Google it. And agarra y ¿qué significa cuando un pájaro cae enfrente de tu casa? Y decía, es el espíritu de un ser querido que ha pasado y viene con un mensaje a decirte que todo va a estar bien. So, yeah, it was my mom's, you know, it was her. Yo acababa, before going to sleep, I had just, you know, said, I'm sorry and I forgive you and sorry for not spending enough time with you and, you know, and y luego viene con este mensaje y me dice, it's okay, you know, todo va a estar bien. Wow. And not only there, mi hija pregunta, ¿pero por qué se murió? And Jonathan dice, oh, es que se enfermó y pues se murió, o algo así dice.
Y se cayó, ¿no?
Y se cayó. Yeah, exactly. Se enfermó y se cayó. Y And I knew it was my mom saying that because una de mis dudas era de que mi mom tenía epilepsy. She suffered, since her 20s with epilepsy, and her death was surrounded, by that. It was a tragic, y una de las cosas era de que, o lo que pensamos que pasó es de que le dio, before crossing the street, le dio un ataque epiléptico, se cayó, and she got, hit by a car, and she was just coming out of church. Y pero the thing was that they, on her, hicieron una investigación y todo, y blah, 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 y on her death certificate dice, that it was suicide. So that was also one of my motives of wanting to know what happened. And por eso era mi preocupación that if she was okay. So con esto lo del pajarito, fue mi mamá a decirme, like, me enfermé y me caí.
Wow.
So I'm at peace with that now, I never wanted to believe, that it was what said on the death certificate. Y no lo quería creer, y ahora, even though I didn't see it through the whole ceremony and all that in that realm, ella vino a decirme personally,
Wow.
So, yeah, it was, y cuando están haciendo el closing ceremony y todo eso, they're doing the integration.
Mm-hmm.
Shaman y su esposa dijeron, like, pay attention to signs out there, like, even though the medicine, ya se acabó,
Mm-hmm.
Or you're done with it or whatever, it still stays in you, y todavía puede haber, señales, y just pay attention to the details.
Wow.
But I wasn't even trying to, it wasn't me Googling, or
like,
looking for connections or
right.
cosas así. It was just, it happened so natural, todo, that I was just like, no, this is not,
You know what's interesting about that? They don't always say that of them telling people to look out for signs. They don't always say that.
Mm-hmm.
So them saying that and you receiving that message, there's no mistakes.
I know. Yeah.
There's no mistakes.
Yeah. I know it wasn't a mistake. I know it was my mom, coming to say it's okay, todo va a estar bien, y giving that closure que yo necesitaba. Because even after ayahuasca, I was like, I didn't really find out cómo pasaron las cosas. But she came and gave me that closure that, no, me enfermé y me caí. And I believe that.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you received that message, Charlene. Like, I'm so happy, dude. Like, believe me. When I knew you were going into ceremony, I just felt that almost not worried, but I felt that responsibility of you receiving the message you were seeking, or just having a good ceremony. And you telling me all of this, it brings a peace of mind that, like, thank God, like, you received one of the deepest message one can receive.
Yeah, I'm just glad I got my answers answered, or my questions answered, y que I'm able to make peace. I know there's a God out there. I know there's so much out there. It's not a question no more. O sea, ya no caben dudas, pues. I was able to close that with my mom. It's okay. Like I'm able to heal that part with my mom, that relationship. And I know that ahora sí ya empieza. Now I have to work, on all these little things.
Yeah. So you said it very lightly, but I think it's a super, super deep message. Prior to doing ayahuasca, you would take your children to church with having even that doubt and almost feeling hypocritical of you taking them, right? Because even though you were trying to be a good person and teach them the right things, but you still question God, right? But after ayahuasca, do you still question the existence of God?
No. As soon as I was in his presence, like, everything made sense. Like, there's no question. Like I told my husband, like, yo siempre, I would go to church and I would doubt myself. I would question myself y todo esto. Y esa experiencia got me really connected with my spiritual. And it's not a religion thing. It's a spiritual, me with God. Like, no hay un por medio. Like, it was me with God in his presence. And there is nothing closer than that.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't question nothing,
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
At all.
Exactly. It's the same thing. I'm not big into religion, but I don't question the existence of God at all. Mm-hmm. Look how magnificent everything is, and everything is set perfectly for us to exist. The reality, and especially that you got to experience the presence of God firsthand. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad you didn't get to see my experience, because everything that you said, and now I can I can send you my actual video for reassurance, right? But everything that you said at the beginning, it's what I experienced. That my experience was, I felt like I was traveling through space. And I went into a pitch black space. I was traveling until I finally got to this place where complete darkness, but there was two orbs, two lights. And as soon as I got there, I'm like, I'm home. And I started crying, dude. I started crying because never in my life have I felt so much love, right? And I started crying just because of pure love. And when these orbs and these lights are there, they receive me. They straight out tell me, we were waiting for you. And I got there, and it was so much like I felt almost like a kid that we were just playing in a playground. And I knew something that I always questioned, similar to you, was that I know we live in the physical realm, but I always knew there was more to life. And me being there, I knew I was home. Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt, like, when I told God, like, I've been here before, like, this is not new, and he said, like, no, this is home. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm back home, like, and it clicked, like, no wonder, like, I don't feel full down there, no wonder, because this is where I belong.
Yeah.
So, and yeah,
oh man.
And I was telling my dad, like, siempre nos asusta un poco la muerte, because we don't know what's out there. And now, after this experience, it's like, I'm not scared to go back home, Like, it's not like I'm wanting to finish, but I know I have things to finish here before I go back there, Right. I know there's so much, because I don't want to, my purpose of doing ayahuasca, over again, it's because I want to make sure I clean the path and my kids are not carrying baggage that's mine. So I know I have a lot to do. I know I have a lot to clean. I know I have a lot to purge. And when the time comes, like, I'm going to be ready to go back home.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're here to experience the human experience of this physical realm. But this is only a pit stop. This is only an experience.
And it's only a heartbeat. Because aquí existe el tiempo, even though, I don't know if we live to our 80s, to our 90s, it seems like a long time. But back home, no está eso, no está ese componente del tiempo. And it's just ongoing fullness, love, joy, just plenitud. So, yeah.
Man, such a beautiful experience. I think, oh man, there's so many, I've heard so many different experiences, but I think this one has to be one of the top. And I'm so happy for you. I'm super, super happy for you.
Happy too. I told my dad, like, Because I just told him today that I did ayahuasca. You know,
Yeah.
primero le enseñó unos documentaries, and I like sweet talked him onto the.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh yeah, I know about ayahuasca. Like it's not new to him. And I saw his face, like he was like,
curious
about it. And
especially now that his daughter has done it.
Because I've never talked to my dad the way I told him, whatever I shared with you. And
So he knows your experience?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that's why it took me a little while to get here, because I was closing up with my dad. Pero le conté. Like, I was like a little hesitant, like, should I not?
Yeah.
But I was like, no te quedes con nada dentro.
Right.
So start bringing all that out. So ahí empecé mi tarea, and I told him how I felt prior to ayahuasca and what my intention was with ayahuasca. And I told him my experience, and I told him how I feel, and I told him, like, I don't doubt there's a God. I don't doubt nothing like that no more. And I know that todo esto en la vida, like, it doesn't matter. That was my main message. Like, all these little things do not matter. Like, there's so much out there.
Right. You know what? I always say the same message in maybe in different words, right? But I always say, dude, nobody cares. Just post it. Like, similar to that, like, it doesn't matter. Just post it. Do whatever you want. Look ugly. Do whatever. Like, nobody cares. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do whatever your heart is telling you to do. Just do it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we are our biggest judges. Like, we're judging ourselves. Y nosotros somos nuestros críticos, nuestros number one críticos.
Yeah.
But, no one cares.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they do care. And if they do comment, like...
So what?
So what? Yeah. Sí, por eso.
Oh, man, I'm so happy for you. And this is the reason why I love sharing these type of conversations, right, through this platform or whatever. Why? Because more than anything, I just want to spread the message, and it's one of those, I feel like it's a knowledge that we've lost through ages, and luckily more and more people have found, I guess you can call it this ancient medicine that some people and more people are waking up to. And that's why I love sharing this. It brings a lot of healing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I see, like I said, like, now I know why they say, like, one ceremony of ayahuasca equals to 10 years of therapy, because you go into yourself, you dig into yourself, and escarbas, and you move things around. Y there's no better way of healing, through tough love. Y todo es con amor. Like, even though it's ugly, even though those demons were ugly, they made sure that I knew that era con amor.
All right. Yeah, it was in order for you to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, man, Arlene, any final words, anything that you might have missed? I think from what you kind of shared with me on those voice messages, I think you pretty much covered everything. Is there anything that you feel like you left behind?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, if you guys made it to this point, drop a plant emoji to let Arlene know. And if you guys want to leave a message for her, feel free to do so. But for sure, drop a plant emoji. That way we know you guys made it to the end of the podcast. Arlene, thank you so much. I know in the past we've mentioned of you coming on the podcast, but there was no really story that you were kind of willing to share. And I'm super glad you got to experience this and share this as the first podcast with us.
Yeah, I'm glad to. And thank you for the podcast, because if it wasn't for Cello's testimony, I wouldn't have, been curious about it and looked into it. And I'm just so glad, because I'm starting to heal, starting to work on stuff that I need to. And I know it's just the beginning of something bigger.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time.
Hoy no más.